Hey all, and welcome back for another installment of NTom and Volk's Spot of PC. Today we're going with a rather more recent sort of pick. This is Halcyon6 Starbase Commander by Massive Damage Inc. And it's a roguelike strategy game where the player commands a crew of Star Trek-style officers, each with their own distinct skills and personalities, in a mission to uncover the mysteries of a derelict space station and fight back a looming alien threat. Now, I read that verbatim from the Halcyon6 wiki because I've honestly got no idea about this game at all. I think, Volk, you just picked it out of your Steam library like on a whim.
Yeah, I pretty much saw this game on the new releases and thought, hey, this looks pretty interesting. Went ahead and bought it, played it for a couple hours and thought, this is actually pretty interesting. I think I'll try this for Spot of PC.
Yeah, I'm liking the music already. The presentation's pretty nice.
Yeah, the presentation is very, very nice. It gives way to the whole management part of the game, where you're going across your fleet, you're sending them off all the reaches of the galaxy or your little pocket of space that you find yourself in, so it leads you nicely into what to expect. But as well as being a strategy game, this is also part RPG. There is a rather immense story in this, where you have found yourself on the mysterious space station known as Halcyon6, and you are trying to unearth its many, many mysteries.
Oh, I love it when a game title drops and whatnot.
Yes, it is a ancient artifact, so obviously you know there's going to be some shit going down with that particular thing.
Oh, everyone would be wanting the Halcyon6.
Yes, including pirates, which are one of the main opposing factions that you'll face throughout the course of this game.
Yeah, I thought that was a Reaper for a second, by the way.
Yeah, they do have the looks of a Reaper, that's for damn sure, but yeah, you do get many different arrangements of ships around here, so there's plenty of flavour to choose from here. So this just sets the tone of the story, where you've got Admiral Brahmachandra. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Sounds about right.
He's kind of like your main dude. He's the one who's sort of heading this whole research operation, and there's unwelcome news, and he's going to go over there and check it out, because obviously we're not well trained enough to sort out this sort of mess.
Yeah.
And also segues nicely into the tutorial.
So this is like a first for Spot of PC as doing an RPG sort of thing. So we've done RTS, you know, we've done roguelikes, we've done all sorts of like genres and whatnot, but never an RPG.
No, RPGs on the PC are a bit of a weird thing, because the PC era of RPGs was many years ago, when you had your likes of Baldur's Gate, Planescape Torment, I think it was called? Yeah, Planescape Torment. And one of my personal favourites was actually Septerra Core, Legacy of the Creator. And that was a big era for RPGs on the PC, because they give you like all these D&D mechanics in the case of Baldur's Gate, and you had some unique ones like with Septerra Core, where sometimes where you're placed on the battlefield can depend on how many enemies you can hit at once with various moves. It's all very interesting.
Yep, don't forget the Ultima series as well.
Oh yeah, Ultimate, that's another good one as well. Well done. See, you know your PC shit as well.
Well, let's just say I watch like certain internet personalities and their love of RPGs on the PC.
Well, there you go. Right, now we're getting into the meat of the spaceship combat in this game. Combat is split into two different places, so you've got the spaceship one, which you're seeing now, and you'll also get ground-based combat, where your crew will actually exit their ships on planets and such, and will attempt to take on enemies hand-to-hand. How this works is that you've got three different ship types. You've got your tactical class, you've got your science class, and you have your engineering class. And each of those come with different moves that have different effects, like being able to shut down sensors, expose the hull, and all that sort of thing. And the idea of the combat here is to keep afflicting statuses and finding ways to exploit and combo off of it. And that's where the meat of the strategy when you're actually in battle comes in. It's not all just pick your strongest move and hit him with it. It's all about, alright, how can I chain my attacks in such a way that I can just keep exploiting one thing, causing something else, and then exploiting that, and just going from there. The battle system itself is turn-based, and it works very similar to how Final Fantasy X would work, where each enemy is shown. It would normally be at the bottom, but since this is the tutorial mission, it's not actually shown here. It's all kind of predetermined, but at the bottom would kind of be your turn order.
Okay,
and you'd use that to kind of figure out who's going to be next in the turn order, and use that to kind of plan out how you're going to attack your opponent. And of course, you've got your tactical ships are more your damage dealing ones. They're the one who's going to be doing a lot of damage with their attacks, and they're more about brute force and positioning. Your engineering class ships will be the ones that will afflict a bunch of different status effects on the opposing ships, as well as giving some handy buffs to like your accuracy and things like that to your own ships. And then your science class ones will be the ones that afflict the majority of status effects onto the enemies and also give you the majority of your buffs, and also healing.
Yeah, I think you need a good heal on like everyone here, mate. You seem a bit busted up right now.
Yeah, well, the tutorial makes sure you are aware of pretty much every little aspect of combat. So it just introduces each thing individually, and that way you're as prepared as you can be for what goes in. Luckily, when you actually get into the game, it's not quite this busy. Like, you'll start off fairly simple with like maybe 1 or 2 ships, and then you'll eventually work your way up to full squads, and then getting several full fleets, which you then have to kind of send around the galaxy to wherever there might be trouble a-brewing.
Do you ever get a bit overwhelmed having to deal with like more than 3 ships?
Not really, because when you're in battle, all you have to worry about is those 3 ships. The only time you gotta worry about managing many different things is when you have more than 1 fleet and you're trying to figure out the best way to kind of use them efficiently, because you can send like 1 ship all the way to the other side of the galaxy, but that's not going to be much help if he's then going to take ages getting back.
Yeah.
So you may want to send him somewhere close by to sort out something over there first, before you then send him off to the one all the way back over there. So there's all that kind of decision making going on eventually, where you'll have all these situations and emergencies coming up all at once, and you kind of have to decide which ones are more urgent or which ones are more relevant to your needs at the time.
Okay, it seems like we've taken out the main threat here, although we've lost a ship. That's not very good.
Number 1! No! So obviously they're not very happy about this. We're going to finish him off with a good old-fashioned solar flare. And unlike what you may see in Dragon Ball Z, this one just does not blind you, it also does tons of damage.
Nice.
And there we go, we have won the day. And,
but at what cost? At what cost?
We lost our number 1, T. Riker! We barely knew ye. So, yeah, they're obviously not very happy with us winning that particular fight. Oh dear.
Whoa!
Say hello to the big bad.
Oh, this is the final boss?
That is not, I'm not entirely sure, and I haven't actually got far enough into the game to actually encounter this monstrosity again, but I'm assuming he may be, like, the mother ship, or, like, the Hive Queen, or something like that. I'm assuming it's like a hive thing, because all these ships seem to give me the impression that they're living, breathing organisms, almost, you know, with all the eyeballs and tendrils and all that there good stuff.
Yeah, very much so.
So there we go. The 12th fleet is now missing. And it is now up to us, the plucky commander, who was kind of working underneath the admiral at the time. So now we've got to take the reins in this time of great need. And this is where we start to learn a bit more about Halcyon6 itself, and we also get introduced to the pirates as well. And they're not a happy lot, as you might expect.
When are pirates ever content? They always want more, more, more!
They're never satisfied. So first things first, you got to pick your first officer, because obviously you've kind of got no staff, and you kind of have to train everybody up. So you have your choice between your science, your tactical, and your engineering, and I don't think it usually makes too much of a difference which one you pick at this point. It's just more of a case of what would you rather mess around with first. And every time you have an option of picking a new officer, it will show you like their space combat moves, so like when they're in the ships, their ships will get unique abilities based on the pilot. And it's also the same for ground combat. Each ship that you have comes with their own set of commands that they can use, and then your pilot kind of fills in the gaps in between or adds their own either enforcements on a strength or maybe even covering a weakness or something that's currently missing. So that is always something to consider when you get to the point of having multiple different fleets. So right here I'm kind of looking through each one, trying to decide which one I'd rather go with. They're all very tempting options, like plenty of nice damaging abilities, lots and lots of status effects, but...
Well, there's one thing that's catching my eye. Can you guess what it is?
Is it by any chance one that's named after me?
Yes, yes it is.
Not the last name, but certainly the first. But yeah, I went with that one just because they all look interesting, but this one's named after me. I'm going to pick this one.
This is my character. It was made for me.
Okay, not quite that extreme. But yeah, the story is rather interesting. I mean, it's pretty much a standard kind of Star Trek type fare where you have all these different factions and collectives all wanting a piece of your big old space station.
Mm-hmm.
And you just gotta try and fend them off as best you can. You do learn of other races as well, and some of them are more friendlier than others, as we will learn eventually. It's just a case of figuring out who best to place your trust in after a while, because all of these factions will kind of be vying for their own piece of the pie that doesn't involve trying to take it by force, because, you know, that's just too much work. Some people aren't like that. They don't like work. They just want to take it and just kind of sit in the back and let it all happen.
Well, this ship has a skull on the side of it. They seem completely trustworthy.
Oh yeah, it seems absolutely legit. I have no reason at all to believe that these guys are going to just wreck our shit at any moment. So, as well as having all of your options for combat, you also have your options for decision making in the overworld. So, this is how you respond to the other factions and other emergencies around the place. And, as you can see, it gives you the helpful hint, you should probably choose to reject the surrender. It doesn't take itself overly seriously, luckily, but it saves the humour for where it's probably the most appropriate, like during some of the more tutorial parts of the actual game.
We could have bombed that guy to shit anyway. Have you seen the size of our space station?
Yeah, but you have to consider it's not exactly weaponized. What this station is a fast construction space station. And the secret of Halcyon6 is it literally can materialize ships out of very little in just a matter of days, rather than weeks, months, and perhaps even years.
Interesting.
So this is the main part of Halcyon, is that it's a huge construction yard, as you say. And obviously that's good, because obviously if you're on the front lines, you want to be able to construct your ships as quickly as possible. So you can see why the pirates might want something like that.
So when you're like skipping time during the build phase, can people sneak up on you?
Yeah, all the events and stuff are happening during that time as well, so whether or not you speed up or slow down time is entirely up to you. So if you want to take it a little bit slower, you absolutely can do, so that you can see things as they're kind of creeping along. Although sometimes you do want to speed along things just to keep the action going. Although you have to be careful not to leave your eyes away for too long, because otherwise before you know it, there's like 3 pirate ships descending upon one of your mineral colonies, for instance.
I'm surprised it creates them outside the base. It would have been safer to do it inside, but I guess that's not how Halcyon6 works.
Nah, I imagine space is a little bit limited, and the station's also a little bit run down, so
Okay.
you need to have space for like your hangars and such, but if you want to actually build the things, especially if you're building them at quite the volume that you are, then obviously having them outside is the most spacious place of all. So this is where you sort of organise your fleets as you go by, and you can add and remove ships from the fleet as you want, although usually what will happen is that you'll get your fleet, and then once you're happy with it, you'll kind of just have it there as is, and then kind of stick to your own devices.
Okay, let's take down this pirate fucker.
Oh yeah. You don't exactly start off with much, as you might expect, but what you do start off with is rather serviceable for a little science vessel. You got your standard high damage attack, which exploits hull breach. You have your means of disabling sensors, and then you also have a self-heal as well.
This is reminding me so much of that other spacefaring game we played, but I cannot remember the name of to save me.
You are thinking about Faster Than Light, I believe.
That's the one, FTL.
A lot of people draw comparisons to Faster Than Light with this as well, although most people will say it's more Star Trek-y than Fast and Lighty. But many people will draw the relation to XCOM because it's more or less the same thing. It's just that you've got spaceships rather than individual squad combat, which you're kind of controlling in real time. This is one of the things that I quite like about this game in particular. It's not that the style is a lot different from other games that are similar, such as XCOM, but also that it's not that overly complicated. I mean, sure, what you have here on the screen right now may look intimidating, but once you actually get into it, it's actually not that bad, and XCOM itself is a very, very nuanced game. So, if you're looking to get into XCOM, this might be a good game to actually start out with.
Okay, who's this like crazy vagrant waffling away on screen here?
You mean the guy who looks kind of like a hobo Brian Blessed?
Jesus.
This is the Pirate Emperor, and he is very much after this space station for himself. So much so, in fact, that he is actually getting all of the pirate fleets together to actually do this. So he's brought them all under one flag in order to make this happen.
The sprite work in this game is pretty cool, but what caught my eye the most is the attack animations.
Oh yeah, the attack animations are very, very well done. If there's one thing I have to give credit for in a pixel game is when they can like make all these effects look particularly all lovely and shiny. Makes it rather pleasant to look at. And this guy is creeping me the hell out, so we're just going to get rid of him right away. Time for death ventilation, pig!
Ah!
Apparently he didn't like the fact you killed Toast Slicer and wants revenge.
Well, you know, coming at me with a name like Toast Slicer, you're gonna get your toast sliced off.
And perhaps more. I love how descriptive he is about, oh, you're going to be floating around in space, so you're going to need all the oxygen you need, buddy.
Is that spray and fray?
I think it's spray and pray, but it may be fray. I mean, these are pirates after all. They may want the edgier names for things.
I'm surprised Halcyon6 can't fire a gigantic beam out of its, like, life-creating portal.
Yeah, you would have thought that something built around construction could probably just as quickly deconstruct.
Yeah.
Just like fire the beam on them and just turn it into matter. That would have been kind of cool. I mean, maybe it's something that can occur later on, like, maybe later in the game Halcyon6 can become a little bit more weaponized and more capable of self-defense. Unfortunately, I haven't quite gotten far enough in the game to actually figure that out yet. I mean, it is a long game, and with all the managing you're doing, just getting through like a month or two in the game can oftentimes take a little while, especially when you're trying to point around 10 different fleets at a time.
Yeah, I imagine, yeah.
It is a pretty deep involved game for something that on the surface does actually look very simple compared to its competitors.
Man, these pirates aren't trying very hard to take this luscious, glorious, like, fucking space station from us.
Yeah, they're going across the villain trope of send in your bad guys one at a time routine.
Yeah, I'd just send in all my Juggernaut-class ships first and blow it to hell.
See, they should have learned something from the Dominion in Deep Space Nine. I mean, they didn't mess around with anything like that, they just sent all of their shit at once. But, I guess these pirates are a little bit inexperienced when it comes to, combat on a grand scale. I mean, pirates are much more interested in their looting and pillaging skirmishes, I would imagine.
So, what's Halcyon6's, like, transporting capabilities like? Can it dot around the map pretty easily?
No, the space station itself, from what I can gather, is entirely stationary. And what you'll be able to do is you can give it upgrades to, like, its reactors and things like that, and it'll be able to power up more stuff and more rooms, which will give you other benefits, like being able to create a research base to put a development team into so that they can give you, like, new ships and new weapons to mess around with. But of course, in order to do that, you actually need to clear the space itself, because it's a bit of a junk heap at the moment. It's taken its fair share of wear and tear. So over the course of the game, as well as sending your ships around, you're also managing the starbase itself. Clearing out the rooms, figuring out what's hidden within the debris, and then clearing that out, building more rooms, and generally making it a more cohesive structure.
That's quite interesting. Like, your home is full of mysteries, and you're learning about your home as you go through the game.
Yeah, it really creates an air of mystery that happens within the actual base itself, rather than focusing all of the action purely on outside. It actually gives you a reason to actually check out the interior, which I think is one of the biggest strengths of this game, is that it gives you a lot to work with, but doesn't just bombard you with needless complexity.
I'm keeping an eye on the map. No pirates are gonna... Oh, there's a lot of, like, shimmering stars out there that may or may not be pirates.
I get the feeling you'd be one of those people who'd be really paranoid going, was that a pirate ship? No, that's just one of mine.
Okay, we're pretty much surrounded now.
Yeah, we've got our sensors back online, so now we can see a little bit more of the space. So there's a lot of different things here to look at. A lot of those will just be like asteroids you can potentially get materials from. There'll be some star bases that have been kind of lost in the battle. So a lot of your time may actually be spent looking around trying to find old fuel stations or mining outposts and things like that, and either restoring them, or if you think where they are is way too dangerous, you can actually evacuate them. So there's a lot of decision making into thinking, okay, do I actually need all these resources, or can I bring them back and get more crew onto my ship? Because obviously your space station will need crew in order to do a lot of the things that you can do. So you'll need crew to hire more officers, you'll need crew to put into all your new rooms for research purposes and things like that. So there's a lot to manage there as well. It's not all as simple as, okay, here's a mining station, I probably want to keep that.
Wow, he got the shot off way faster than you did. I think you slipped it, Volk.
Well, this is a pretty zippy ship. And you learn about all the enemy ship types as well as you go through the game as well. So your first encounter will generally be a bit dicier, but as you go through the game, you'll start to see similar types of ships, maybe a little bit bigger, but you still have the same basic idea of how to combat them. So there'll be some occasions where, with a fleet, you may want something more balanced. But there'll be some occasions where there might be a fleet of all of one single type of ship. So of course you may want to counter that with something that'll be effective against it, rather than just having something balanced. And that's like another cool aspect of the game where you can kind of identify these individual threats and send in just the right fleet for the job. So here we go, we've got the refinery overseer that we just discovered. And obviously in our position, we're not doing very well on the resource side of things, so this is something we may well want to keep.
Well, I suppose we could deconstruct it from materials, but it might be more beneficial to just get it up and running again.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, at this point we kind of need to get a nest egg of resources at the early stages of the game. I would say during like the middle and later parts you may want to consider it a bit more carefully, because obviously the ones close by you have no problems in keeping, since they're easy to defend. It's the ones that usually end up in the far reaches of space that you have to really take into consideration, because you may not always be able to defend it. So sometimes it may just be better just to take the crew and run.
Choices.
This is just a little refresher course of how to do some of the things that were covered in the tutorial just now, so exploring your own space station and all that sort of thing. And then the game at that point officially begins, and then you're given free reign over what to do. As far as tutorials go, I think this one was a very good, very informative one. It gives you all the information that you need without overly bogging you down, and I think that's the best way to go, because if you start trying to throw in many things at once, you're just going to confuse them. So going through each of them on a basic level is the best way to go, because then later on, things will start to click anyway as they're playing through the game, and then it just all makes sense by itself after a while. So here we go. There's no turning back now.
No more hand-holding, player. Get ready for the real deal.
But first of all, we got to pick ourselves a new officer.
Let's see. Well, we're technically already science, so I would go for either tactical or engineering myself.
I would say that is a very sensible idea. I do like the look of this John Luke fella. I think he's got captain material written all over him.
Oh gee, I wonder why, Volk.
You know, as long as you don't mention the Borg too close to him, I think you'll be alright.
Yeah, bit of a sore spot, bit of a trigger.
A white whale, as it were. But I wanted to look through them more anyway, because there is some advantages to having two science vessels. It just kind of depends on the individual pilot itself. Because sometimes the pilot may have skills that your other guy doesn't flat out have, so sometimes having more than one ship of the same type can actually be quite effective to ensure you have the whole arsenal of moves at your disposal.
That's good, it gives the variety higher then.
And they also give you the ability to reroll as well, so I didn't quite like the look of the skills on these guys, so I thought I'll try a reroll and see what they come up with. And that's another good thing, where you're not necessarily feeling like you're stuck with what you have given to you. You have a couple of opportunities to kind of switch it up a bit and see what else is on the table. Of course, unfortunately, if you reroll, you can't get the previous ones back, so you have to consider that very carefully.
It's like they're dead. It's like you've destroyed them with that reroll.
Nah, it's more like you sort of get him in a line and you just go, next. You're more Simon Cowling than everything else. So now we got a new crew member, we're going to need to give him a ship. And all your ship construction happens right here, and you got all your handy tabs to split them off so you know who's who. So the Knight is your engineering ship, we don't want that, but I wanted to take a look at it just so I kind of knew what I was working with at the beginning. You even got these little Federation shuttles.
Aww.
They're so dinky.
They're adorable.
Yeah, those are for filler operations, so if you really need the cannon fodder. It's like red shirts in spaceship form.
Yeah.
But obviously we got a tactical guy, so we want a tactical vessel. I'm thinking there's more stuff to explore. I kind of want it.
God, I hope there's no, like, monsters or whatnot lurking in the depths of our own ship.
I will reserve answering that statement until later on, because I get the feeling this might answer it for me. I did mention there would be ground-based combat after all. Hint hint, nudge nudge.
Well, that didn't confirm whether or not it took place on the Halcyon.
No, not at all. The suspense. So here I'm just looking around. There's a lot to take in with this ship. Or space station. I keep calling it a ship and it's a space station.
It's fine. It's basically both things.
So I figured, okay, I can kind of explore two places at once now, so I think this might actually be the way forward. That way I can get more work done, I can get them kind of familiar with the inner workings of Halcyon and get them a little bit of experience.
The pirates are a little bit too close for my liking.
Oh, they're not doing anything just yet, but, you know, I think I'll be inclined to agree with that one. So here you go, you have these little exploration events as well that you can partake in.
Whoa, jeez.
So yeah, perhaps attacking that guy wasn't a good idea.
Yeah, you brought the bomber out.
Who is a floating head by the looks of it.
Okay.
Suppose it's better than being a floating eyeball.
No, I was very close to a copyright infringement there with the head design.
A little bit, it's not quite xenomorph, but it's getting there. So obviously this guy's on his lonesome, so we've had to bring two cadets in to help out matters. So I'm just kind of checking out all the abilities and what everybody has. And here you go, this is your ground-based combat. I actually found the ground-based combat a lot more challenging than the space-based combat. I'm not sure if it's just because your ships are relatively powerful by comparison.
Probably, yeah.
Or if it's just because in this situation I maybe just had one officer and just two standard issue cadets. It's probably not the best situation to be in there. You may want two, maybe three officers in this situation, ideally.
Yeah, I guess you weren't expecting to, like, deal with a mother-based enemy right now.
That's exactly what I was thinking whilst I was actually playing through this, because it was just, I think I could handle this. I mean, they're not going to throw in something this difficult near the beginning, right? But turns out I was a wee bit wrong. Oh. God. Gonna have to scoop him into a soup can.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Volk.
Yeah, the ground-based deaths are a little bit on the gory side, so... Luckily it's pixel gore, it's not exactly something that may leave you particularly squeamish.
Uh-huh. Man, you're barely doing, like, any damage to these guys, and they're destroying you in comparison.
Yeah, I get the feeling if I had another officer, though, I'd be able to weather the hits way better and also deal way more damage. These are only standard-issue cadets, after all. They're not exactly going to do very much. Like, when they're attacking my main guy, they're not exactly doing a lot of damage either.
I find it ironic that the red shirt is the one that's taking the most, like, damage right now and just weathering it.
Yeah, it really is. And one thing I didn't actually notice is that there was actually a retreat button. Otherwise, I probably would have used that. But you know, at this point, I was feeling reasonably confident. I didn't have much more work to do. I figured if I could kill maybe one of them, I should be fine.
Yeah, go for the mom.
But then, of course, it has healing.
Oh, of course it does.
I do like the battle music, though.
It's pretty nice. Funky.
I'll go more with just epic.
Yeah, I think it may be time to run.
Like I said, I completely blanked out the fact there was a retreat button at the time.
Oh, Volk, what are you like?
Hey, I was way too focused on the combat itself. Now, the weird thing is that when you're left on critical health, there's only a chance you'll actually get killed. Like you notice here, I'm taking all these hits when I've been on 1 health for quite some time now. And at that point, usually what you're meant to do is either try and end it as quick as you can, or get a well-timed heal in there. So, there you go, just as soon as we promoted this officer, he met an untimely end.
Oh, Jesus.
But that's okay, because we don't have Officer Academy yet, they're going to give us a freebie. And of course, now that you know there's monsters there, you're aware of it, and you can come back later when you're a little bit better prepared.
Okay, so it doesn't, like, try and branch out to other areas of the ship and take it over?
Not quite, although I've never had that happen. I've never really left it long enough for that to be a potential risk.
Good man.
Call it taking a precaution. I think we're going with the tactical one again because we have just built a tactical ship. It will make more sense. but I kind of wanted to check out the abilities beforehand. So, we know not to go in there. I just hope Lucas doesn't meet an untimely end as well. But luckily we're safe. We have cleaned out the area successfully without any giant monster attacks.
Can we move a bit further away from pirate space? I'm feeling really on edge right now.
I agree. I think we need to go in there and start finning the herd.
That wasn't quite what I meant. I was suggesting the ancient Joestar tactic of running away.
But we're humans. We go in head on. Screw the consequences. Or at least that's how I treat them.
What are you doing here exactly?
Your officers can actually level up, and as a result you can actually get different traits. And this will give you different abilities, power-ups, and lots of good stuff. So I thought bending space-time sounds like a fun idea. So that I can increase the speed of my tactical ship, and that way I can just leave them to wail on the enemy at great speed. I figured if I have the science ship as more of a buffing side of things and just let my tactical ship do the majority of the damage, I thought that would be a good strategy to go with. So there we go. I think we're going to get ready to send in the fleet.
Oh yeah.
Another cool thing is that you can actually rename the ships as well and all that sort of jazz. Standard XCOM fare, you can name them after your favourite people or characters from various media and watch them get killed.
Oh yes, well where's the NTom? I want to see the starship NTom.
I don't think we have it quite yet, but I wanted to wait for a ship that was particularly grand to do that.
Oh, okay.
I haven't quite gone that far in the game.
You turned it around there, you turned it around.
Yeah, I haven't got quite far enough in the game just yet to find one to quite suit the grandeur that is NTom.
Yeah, one that's as big a size as my ego.
I think you'll need to find one bigger than that monster we faced earlier.
Oh, fuck off.
You know, I'm just funning you.
Can we go explore that planet in the background?
Yes, I believe we can.
Ooh.
Most of all these planets and asteroids you see, you can actually go by and explore them, although normally you want to save your fuel at the beginning before you just go exploring willy-nilly. Because fuel reserves are limited and you have to use them rather wisely.
That would be my downfall if ever I was to take off on a space exploration mission. Oh, what's that cool looking planet with the rings like? Oh, I'm out of fuel. Sure.
Luckily, I don't think it's that bad because I do believe your space station starts with generating a small amount of fuel. But obviously you'll want more, otherwise you'll just kind of be waiting around in space forever waiting for your fuel reserves to come back.
It seems vaguely sentient, does the Halcyon6, so I don't know.
Yeah, there are many mysteries involved. You're just going to have to play through the game and find out its many, many mysteries. I haven't quite found them all yet, so I'm going to have to continue playing through it if I want to find out for sure what on earth is going on here. No, I wouldn't be half surprised if it ends up with the Halcyon6 just, like, having something to do with those aliens and it just kind of turns against you towards the end.
That'd be cool, like fighting your way out of the ship or something.
Yeah. It just suddenly all turns back on you and you have to fight your way out and then get back to safety. So here we go. We've found a slightly beefier pirate ship, but luckily we have a friend to help us.
It looks like a bin van.
Well, it is Monday, the recycling is coming along.
True, true.
It's like, we're just here to get your recycling, Jesus!
Yeah, go to hell. Recycle my bullets in your face.
So yeah, now that we've actually increased the speed of our tactical ship, you can see at the bottom, we have a significantly higher amount of actions on that ship now.
Oh yeah, the turn order.
Yeah, like, even after he's had his turn, the red one's getting an extra 2 in comparison.
Ah, that's not fair, says Pirate Man. Too bad.
The mechanics are working in my favour, not yours.
Oh, you gotta upload a virus, man.
Ah, yes. They don't like viruses, them pirates.
I don't think anyone likes viruses, apart from the virus people, and we don't talk about them.
No, definitely not. The less said of them, the better. The last few minutes of this game is going to be spent kind of exploring a couple of unique events and also another ground combat where I fare a little bit better, let's just say.
Well, as long as you're not, like, gory corpses on the ground at the end of it, it'll be all good, mate. All good in the hood.
Yes, I'd rather not lose my namesake into, like a sandworm or something else as equally ridiculous. So yeah, sometimes just defeating a pirate isn't as simple as just going up to him and killing him. Sometimes there can be additional events that span from it. So you could defeat a pirate ship, but then suddenly you may discover something else within the planet or asteroid they were orbiting around. And then you can kind of use that to expand on the quest you were doing and get more cool stuff.
So we're really going to investigate a pirate distress signal?
Yeah, although we may more be intercepting a signal.
Ah, okay.
So here we go. Lieutenant Beeford. Or Terminator. That's quite a title, Terminator. I'd probably prefer that to just plain old Lieutenant.
Yeah.
I think this guy might be slightly insane. I don't know about you.
Possibly, but then again, who am I to judge?
I'll never forget that crazy pirate. But here we go, we have more ground combat. This time it is worms with teeth and tendrils.
Let's blow off and get the hell out of Dodge.
Well, we're gonna do a little bit better than blowing them up. We're gonna dissect them.
Okay, so we can learn things from them.
Not quite, but since I am a science officer, I do have mean ways with a scalpel.
Isn't that the point of dissection? To learn about how things work?
I know, I just thought dissecting a frog in school was fun.
Okay, Mr. Psychopath.
Hey, I was young.
It's not an excuse, Jesus.
So I'm a little bit more prepared for this. I've learned a thing or two from the not-so-successful ground encounter. Although I imagine this will still be a challenging fight.
Green shirt down there's not really pulling, like, much work here.
Well, he is being a meat shield, and that in itself isn't bad. Sometimes you just want someone to sponge the big hits so that your commanding officers don't have to.
I suppose.
So sometimes it might be a good idea, although generally speaking you do want to have your full trio of officers. It's just that we haven't got our officer command center built up yet, so we can't hire another officer just yet. So we're kind of stuck with bringing in the old cadets into harsh and dangerous environments.
Well, I'm sure Lucas here can lead them to victory.
It'll be a good learning experience for him.
Oh yeah, go to hell.
Going in the plant food. Providing there are plants in space. Oh dear, that's not good. Just having him as critical with the music as it is really adding an air of tension in the air.
Yeah, so what are those ships that keep flying down in the background exactly? Is that us, like, sneakily coming in to investigate the planet?
I think it may just more be giving you the idea of that there is an ongoing battle in space somewhere.
Okay.
To kind of give the environment a bit more life to it.
I would have laughed if that, like, heel beam brought the one on the bottom back to life.
It would have been quite funny, but unfortunately, not the case. Invasive surgery.
Oh, is that what the kids are calling it nowadays? Nope. Even though it seemed like you were biting my head off, that was not the case.
It's like when you're like really, really young and you're like sort of like play fighting with the guns. It's just like, I got you. No, you didn't. It's like, but I hit you. It's just like, no, I had a shield up.
Times 50,000 shield. Bounces off.
I would so laugh if they actually made an RPG based on that very aspect. That would actually be rather amusing. Although they are making a game now based on the floor is lava, so we're getting there. So there we go, we have acquired the fat loot. Time to return home and get some well-earned R&R.
Alright, what's next on the agenda, Volk?
Well, we are going to see what these people want. So this is one of the many friendlier faces that you'll find throughout the course of the game.
Is that a face? Can't really tell.
Yeah, me neither. I think it might be a helmet. Although the way it's wiggling around, I wouldn't be surprised if that was actually his face.
Oh, poor guy.
He's using terms like my child. This must be one of those sort of cosmic predict the future-y types.
Bit of a sage type of person.
Would you be suspicious of this personally?
If I can't see their eyes, I don't trust them. I'm sorry, that's just the kind of racist human that I am.
You want to be able to look and see what they see. So apparently these people are more just the advisory types rather than, oh, we got another fleet, we'll just come by and help you out.
Seems like a bit of a waste.
Yeah, where are the Klingons? I think those are the sort of people I would like to have on my side.
Yeah.
They got ships. And probably be better at ground combat than I am, personally.
Yes, send them out to fight and die.
We don't send in the weedy humans out there. So he's going to give us some advice for the future, supposedly.
Okay, lay it on me.
Alright, so apparently we're not to trust the Collective. Or the Zla. Or the Yabling. They are conspiring against us.
Are we sure we trust this person?
Yeah, especially when they say don't trust anyone except us. I mean, that's just A+ trust material right there. I have no reason why I would think they would betray us later down the line. So yeah, they kind of go around the world peddling their predictions about the place. Apparently trying to maintain some form of an equilibrium in the world.
More like trying to line their pockets with gold.
I know, right? We got an engineer at that point of the game, so now we're going to send a full-fledged fleet.
Oh yeah, I'm going to take over this ice planet.
And at that point, I think after that fight, that will be the end of this video. So, just from looking at it, Tom, what would you make of this game?
Seems to go a bit over my head, to be honest. There's like so many variables, it's not the type of game I would play. Yeah, it's more of a you game. Can you tell this was a game Volk picked specifically?
I know, right? But, I can give my thoughts on this game then. I would say if you're looking for something entry level to get yourself into the more complex game like maybe XCOM or Xenonauts, this is a good way to go. I mean, the combat is very, very easy to get into. But I think maybe if you're looking for something a bit more complex, you maybe want to either wait for this to go on sale before you try it, or maybe at that point just skip straight to XCOM. But this is more sort of an entry-level kind of thing. It's not something that's going to be constantly in your face. It's just something that you can take a more relaxed approach to, yet still get the same air of having that management and strategic combat itch if it just needs to be scratched. It's a nice little game. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still intent on finding out exactly what the mysteries of Halcyon6 actually are. The game seems to have an interesting enough story to keep me going, so I'm quite happy with that. I kind of want to just fight that big dude again. I think that's what I'm after the most.
yeah, and just before we end, I'll give you the definition of the word Halcyon. Denoting a period of time in the past that was idyllically happy and peaceful, i.e. the Halcyon days of the mid-1980s when profits were soaring. Or, in terms of a noun, a mythical bird said by ancient writers to breed in a nest floating at sea at the winter solstice, charming the wind and waves into calm. Or, a tropical Asian and African kingfisher with brightly coloured plumage. Not really sure how that factors into the space exploration and blowing shit up, but there you go.
I guess it comes on the whole theme of naming your space stations after cool shit like mythical birds and things like that.
Like the Agamemnon and the Crazy Horse.
Yes, exactly like that.
Did you just cast haste on that ship?
I did. I bent space and time in order to make it happen as well.
Ah yes, I demand more turns.
Just flat out demand it. I just take, I don't ask permission. I'll just bend the fabric of space-time whenever I want. Thank you very much. So yeah, now he's on his own against 3 ships. I don't think he's going to last very long at all. Especially when I'm using portal cannons and such and warping the very atomic structure of his ship.
Like, what is that thing in the background exactly?
That is a pulsar, I believe.
Okay, and what is a pulsar?
I think a pulsar is like a star that is pretty much about to explode or has exploded.
Ah, okay. Do you think it would be leaking unique minerals then?
Maybe unique radiation, if I had to take a guess.
Let's see if we can't find a Tupperware box big enough to contain that radiation. Well, the sprite work does look nice. I've seen its ilk in other games. I believe you mentioned, what was it, Starbound?
Yep, that's right. It's very, very similar to Starbound, the sprite work.
Like the eyed enemies, you know, the big old eyeball ones, they remind me of like creatures from other games, but just nitpicking right now, this was Halcyon6 Starbase Commander. Not really my type of game, but then again, you know, Volk picks most of the stuff we cover here, so please join us next time for another episode of NTom and Volk's Spot of PC.